go to you then?
Yes, you can stop, if you stop by the office, I can give you the application.
Okay.
The parking spot, however, will go on Lehman Street for your house, because of where you live. The other option, and I know that this was another option, is you can park across the street in the gravel area.
It's difficult for walking.
But that's the only thing.
Well, I park there in the wintertime so that the quote alley gets plowed, and it never does. The other thing that I noticed is that you have every other place has the granted the curb that goes down so that somebody with wheels can go down and go up. That's not been done at that curb and that so-called, I call it the so-called alley, the curb and that so-called alley. That has not been done. So I guess in your future you might want to consider doing it. Oh my God, what did I say?
No, it's our fire thing.
I'm just.
Okay, when you apply for the handicap spot, there is a fee, and the township will come out, of course, go ahead and move your car. Township employees will come out and paint that section in front of your house blue.
Yeah.
We'll also put a sign up as well that actually has like the handicap spot.
No, it's I've moved on to the fact that you don't have the
curb.
because what's coming next with this is wheels, and there's no way I can get to 2034 without going up and down curb.
There are probably some more within the township, but I do know a couple of years back when we had to put curbing in and stuff, they were putting the
Curb cut.
handicap curbing.
Well, again, will the snow be taken care of, and will the she has something to say? I see it. Will that be taken care of, and will I don't know what to say. I'm a little flustered. But the other piece is, when I parked behind my garage, they told me I'm not allowed to do that either. So I guess that's going to be to take my neighbor parks in the middle of that so-called alley.
Okay, well, let me say something right off the bat. The people that live next to you, going down through that alley behind their houses, that is part of their property.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's not an alley, it is part of their deeded property.
She will not allow me. She parks so that I can't. I have to swing around backwards to get out onto the macadam alley. And I've dented my car 3 or 4 different times because I can't get out where she is parked, and I know I should be able to. The people who lived there before, I had no problem with Dewey Mason. I had no problem with the gentleman that lived next to me. Again, I've lived there for 34 years. I think I have some rights to be respected. Yes.
Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, my thought, the only thing, if she gets a handicap spot, she's not guaranteed to keep that spot.
That's right.
Anybody on that block is able to use that handicap, whoever's
If they
handicapped.
are handicapped.
That's
I didn't
one
know
thing
that.
I wasn't, this young lady, I was just about to say something, and she said.
So the
something
blue spot doesn't mean anything?
It does, for anybody that's handicapped.
Anybody that's handicapped.
Oh.
can park there.
No, I understand that.
Oh, okay, that's what.
I thought you
just
meant.
to
I
make
thought
sure.
you meant. You know.
It's not your designated spot.
Right.
Oh no, I
didn't know if she
realized
was aware
that.
of that or not.
No,
That's-
that
okay.
I realized. But thank you. And unless you have other things to address, that was one of the reasons why I came to this meeting. I thank you for your at least listening to what I had to say.
Can I address some of your questions? Because
Sure.
you asked quite a bunch. That
Yeah.
weren't
We'll see what it all started when somebody told me some things, and it just.
Yeah, so let me address some of your questions that you had.
Sure.
Okay, you had addressed, or you had asked why you were not told that this was done, or why it was being done. Part of the reason it's being done now is because it is an alley. It is on GIF.
Right there on the map.
What is it, GIF?
It's on the map,
It's the GIF map, which is actually like state. So that alley is actually a realistic alley according to the state and stuff like that.
It's not been used for 30
Doesn't
years.
matter. It's still an
It's
alley.
not have a name,
Scott Alley. It
but
does.
it's never had a little sign that says it.
The alley behind mine never did either, and I was completely surprised that it's considered Washington Alley. So there is a sign now, but it wasn't for years. So that is one thing.
Okay.
Okay, so it should be taken care of by township employees for snow and so on. But please understand that because it is an alley that is not highly used,
Mhm.
it will be one of the last,
Sure, and I understand that too.
and that's,
But
you know.
it never became,
it was.
spring came before.
And I also understand that after 13, 30, whatever years of parking there, the frustration is, why is this being brought up now? I can hear your frustration, and you have a right to be angry. Like, you can say
I'm
you're
not angry, I'm
You can say
frustrated.
you are. I mean, we understand. I mean, I would be. But also understand that there's other things that have come into play within this year. You have new neighbors. There's, as you know, there was a fence put up. There's some issues. When anyone in the township brings up a concern, it has to be taken seriously. And because that is considered an alley that is on the map, it is named, it is so on, it has to be treated as such.
Well, like I said, I very appreciate your information. Please remember, I'm not angry. I'm just frustrated. You said about being angry. I'm not, like I said, I'm just frustrated. A postcard or somebody knocking on my door and saying, "Are you aware this is an alley and we are going to pave it?" I don't blow.
I do apologize for your flowers being disrupted.
And my
I
flowers
apologize for.
They were annual or perennials.
I
But
apologize that had happened.
Michelle, doesn't an alley have to be there all the time? It's named on here for fire apparatus,
Yes.
access to the back of the house.
because there's no sign.
Yeah, but because it is on the map for our fire service, even the sign that is not there, the apps that the fire service uses will have it labeled because it is labeled by the state.
Okay.
So if your car was parked there and there was an emergency,
Right.
your
And
vehicle,
that makes sense.
your vehicle could be damaged.
That makes sense. Now, what about parking behind my garage?
Well, that I can't speak on
That is being also considered an alley. It's right now it's dirt.
I think the part that you're referring to is the part.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I think the part that you're referring to is the part that belongs to your neighbor's house. But I have to look at a map or something just to verify that I'm thinking of the correct location of where you're thinking
Yeah.
of.
Directly, that dirt alley directly behind my garage. Now, I, again, was mowing that area as well. And if I can't park there and the alley is being taken care of by the township, then they gotta mow it. I mean,
Absolutely, that is our responsibility. If it is the township property, it should be our responsibility to mow it. As far as that, Antoinette can look, are you tomorrow?
I can look at that a little bit more tomorrow as far as where you're referring to. I don't know when you're gonna come in to pick up your handicap application, and we can look at a map together and have a little
I
bit.
appreciate
And
that.
we can all have a little bit of a better discussion,
And you're
while looking at
addressing
a
the
map.
parking of my neighbor then as well?
Well,
The lady
Well,
that
I have to look at.
that swears that whole, her property is all the way up to that forbidden fence.
And
That is true. That is true. Because cause John Brenner,
Yeah, because there's one part right, like where one of your neighbors owns that part of the alley, but I just have to.
But
make
see,
sure
it
that we're
parks me
looking,
in. She parks me in. She doesn't park close enough to her own cars, nor does she park close enough to the forbidden fence.
If it is
So
not
I
her
can't
property,
get through.
if it is her property that she's parking on and you can't get out, there's not gonna be a whole lot that can be done. If it is an issue where you can't get out and you feel that she is not on her property, the best thing that we, as the township can recommend is you call the police department, you have them, because that is more of a police matter at this point. Am I correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay,
You can give us a call.
Okay.
yeah, because that would have to come from them. There's not what we would be able to do for that. It's more like a
So
neighbor's stuff.
the zoning, or, not, guy that does the measurings,
The surveyor?
thank you. I passed over 60 and now it just kind of trips off. The surveyor doesn't say where her property ends.
If her land has been surveyed, it should,
Well,
yes.
the surveyor that was out at my place last week,
Okay,
The one
He
who
was
surveyed
and,
the alley only surveyed the alley for the township. He did not survey her
any
property.
properties.
so that dirt alley is gonna remain a dirt alley?
We are gonna put pavement on there, so it's not going to remain as a dirt alley, but it will be getting the blacktop. I just don't have like an estimated time frame as
Okay.
far as like when we're gonna get the blacktop on there right now.
Okay. Okay, and,
Right now it's too cold, so that's why
well, like I said, that's, unless you have other questions, that's my issue.
I do not have other questions, but I do thank you for coming to the meeting. I encourage you to come to all of our monthly meetings. I know it's a pain and I know it's winter and
No.
nobody wants to step out. But if you had come and followed, you would have understood about the alley and the things that were going on because it's been brought up multiple times
Okay,
during our township meetings.
okay. At
Okay.
least you're not gonna kick me out.
Well, wasn't
They don't kick me out, they're not kicking you out.
wasn't there notification sent to their home residences?
There was, but I don't know, I put them in the mail about the paving that occurred. I don't know, as far as after they got in the mail, as far as with the mail service, I can't guarantee whether or not.
Oh,
Well,
you may
So-
still get it next
Yeah.
year.
I
But I
know,
know, I put copies in the property folders as well.
I know for a fact that Mr. Brenner knocked on both of the residences, the one on this side of the alley and the other one, Mr. Cruz, on the other side. And he knocked on your door.
I may have been asleep, I work
Right.
nights.
Oh, dear, okay. Well, anyway, several different days, he knocked on the doors to say, hey, this is what we're gonna be doing. And he got no response.
We attempted calling as well, but we didn't get any responses, and like, I don't know, I forget if it was yours or if it was your neighbors that we couldn't leave a message because it wouldn't give us the option to just, to leave a
My
voicemail
neighbor.
or anything.
My neighbor.
Well, Mr. Cruz,
Okay, so for future reference, we'll just keep trying to get in touch with you.
Well, I appreciate that, and
Just
I
so
would,
you-
I just don't, like I said, the parking, the paving, it is what it is. But I want to be able to get out of my dirt alley, and I can't because she insists it's hers.
And that's a neighbor dispute,
And
unfortunately.
I've tried, and she doesn't talk to me anymore.
Yeah.
when you turn off of the main alley to come up the alley,
You mean
your garage is right
between?
here, right?
Yeah, and I can't get in my garage because of the forbidden fence, and
Well, the
And
forbidden
then once-
fence, let me say something about the forbidden fence. The forbidden fence is still under litigation
okay,
and will be for a while.
okay.
There shouldn't be any reason why you can't come up the alley, the main alley, and turn in a little bit and then go right into your garage door.
Not with the side, not with, oh, you mean drive behind my garage door?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was told I can't do that.
Who told you?
The surveyor.
The surveyor, which one? The one that was there the other day?
Yeah. The one that hammered in nails as long, yeah.
Right.
Is this something, Antoinette, is this something that you and John can take a look at?
We can look at it a
And
little
take a look
bit
at,
more.
so
We
that
can look but as far as the surveyor, you didn't notify me or John as far as like her not being able to turn. I don't know, did he say anything to you in that?
No, I don't know anything about that, but, I mean, I can check to see what information you have. I mean, I don't see any reason, I'm looking at it on the, tax parcel map here. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to get to the back of your garage.
Okay,
Right.
But
and this is
again, that's not the
a
problem
main
until
street to go
the
through.
dirt. And that, I'm looking at
Yeah.
2 yards for 2 to 3 seconds if it is indeed her property. 2 yards for 2 to 3 seconds to drive over that.
Well, that's
And
no
it's
problem.
never mowed. I mean, they do not mow it. So, I mean, it's just a combination of things. Now, you talk about anger.
He wants to show you something.
Hang on just a second. You talk about anger. I have no anger here. I have anger at 2038.
Okay, well, I can't help you there.
Okay.
But
But
you
that,
have
but
to
that dirt
understand
alley
that.
that you're referring
Absolutely.
to is deeded on their deed for their property. It goes from Lehman Street all the way back to almost to that fence, probably about that far away. So that property there belongs to those different people that live there.
But I can't get out without cramming my car, and I can't get out.
I don't know what to tell you.
Because if I tried to back out, I would hit the forbidden fence. If I tried to back out the other way, I can't swing it around without hitting the other fence.
Let's have the Brenners, let's have Antoinette
This is
and
gonna
John take a
require
look,
some
because
review.
it'll be.
You're actually raising a lot of very
Yeah,
complicated legal
so
issues here.
let's have them take a look at it and just go from
I
there.
think we need to have some review.
Hang on, he's talking and you're talking, and I go,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Why don't you set up an appointment with Antoinette and John Brenner
okay.
to come in and go over everything and try and get a handle on exactly what the situation is.
In
Maybe
addition,
we can
I
arrive
did,
at a conclusion as to what
I
you
have an
want.
appointment with the lawyer. That would be different from this?
Well, that would be
Yes.
good too.
yes, this would be different, because
Yeah.
make an appointment with Antoinette, who's our township manager, and Mr. Brenner, to go over things, to find out to see what the surveyor is and stuff, because they'll have records of that. So Antoinette will go out and take a look at it tomorrow, and we can go from there.
Is there a reason, I had asked the surveyor if I could have a copy of his report, and he said I cannot. So I
Unfortunately,
didn't know if there was,
But that's because he was surveying the township property, the alleyway. He wasn't
can I
surveying
have a
any-
copy of that?
There really isn't anything to provide, it's northern and easting points. It'd be a number of points, but there isn't any plan per se to go with what they were doing there.
Okay.
He was
It's
making
not like
sure.
it's a plan of survey, so we had some old survey that was surveyed previously.
Yep.
We had updated, to get it on state plane, we marked the edges.
Yep.
So we have some computer calculation type stuff, but we don't have a plan per se that we
Right.
can give it, we have to.
He just wanted to make sure that what we were gonna pave belonged to the township.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your kindness. Did you have something to say, sir?
No, I don't. I've heard so much stuff, I can't make heads or tails out of what's being said right now. So I think you need to sit down with Antoinette and Mr. Brenner.
Okay.
And work through these issues and try and sort.
Because all of them aren't my fault. I mean,
Oh, I'm sure they are.
I take respect for the paving of the other alley. I take respect for that, but not for the fact that my neighbor parks me in.
then let's handle it that way. Make an appointment, and then we can go from there, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Treasury report. Motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Please report.
Good evening, for the month of November, we had a total of 24 calls, 3 thefts, fraud, motor vehicle accident, police assist, mental health, suspicious activity, open burning, police information, missing adults, commercial motor vehicle decal. The officers issued 12 traffic arrests and handled a total of 285 calls combined with North Lebanon. We're currently moving forward with the police regionalization, working out some logistics and
So question for you with that. When someone in this area, West Lebanon, needs something, will we still call the North Lebanon Police Department's number, like, and get Corey, or?
Yeah.
Oh, so it'll still be
Yeah,
the
so
same?
that's gonna be the headquarters, North Cornwall's gonna be the substation.
Okay, so we
yeah,
can still
someone-
call our
yes,
station?
Yeah,
Okay.
someone will still be there. The officers will be known, so
Okay.
there'll be an officer you should see more police more often now.
Okay. Alright, thank you.
Okay, Speedwell.
There's a question.
Yeah, Chief Knight, I was just wondering, the swearing in of officers, that's on Thursday,
December 19th,
December 19th?
yeah, 3 p.m. Courtroom 4.
Are those all new
Thank you.
officers?
It's gonna be the whole.
Is it the whole regionalization thing?
regional,
Okay.
Yeah, department.
My question would be, I know we don't have our own police force, but did this board or does this board have to take a motion to accept services from a countywide police
At some
department?
point, yes, they will have to do that, and they'll have to be in
We
agreement.
did, we already did that,
We already did that
Okay,
in
all right,
November.
okay,
yeah.
good,
We
Yeah.
did that
Okay.
at the last meeting.
okay, good.
Okay, Speedwell?
I'm gonna read for the chief because they had a fire call. So total calls for the month of November were 6, total number of personnel was 34, total hours 5.74, total man hours was 13.64. Total fire incidents for the year was 75, and total department calls, including just fire police calls, were 79.
Okay, highways.
The asphalt millings for the road base for Scott Alley, was done. And the curb was replaced at 21st and Skull.
Water?
Daily average of water for the month of November was 34,233 gallons per day. Tank was half full. And the total city of Lebanon Authority water used was 0. No,
Okay. Sewer,
nothing.
storm sewer, MS4 program?
Just the local share account grant for the stormwater rehabilitation was submitted.
Excuse me, township buildings?
Nothing to report.
Recreation?
I'd like to make a motion that we put, this Gaga pit and pickleball court out for bid. We got it. Keep moving.
You want it out for bid again,
Oh. No, that's a grant.
but we got that, we're,
Everything.
You don't have anybody to do it.
We do, I have to get John has all the information back there, cause he was the one who submitted that grant, but all that information we had when the grant was submitted.
right, because all of the money that, like, the township is not adding any money to it, the motion that was made and
So
passed.
For that grant, they also ask you for quotes and stuff, so you have to have those quotes, before you submit the grant.
It's like everything else, nobody knows what the other hand, left hand's doing and the right hand's doing it. All right,
So I'm gonna read this
nothing else to report.
for Justin.
Okay.
Justin usually
Oh,
reads that.
yeah, go ahead.
For
Public safety, I'm sorry.
public safety, several notices of violation were sent out for sanitation problems and high weeds, grass, and vehicle problems. The township received a response from Norfolk Southern regarding the Safety First grant, and it was declined.
Green waste.
Nothing to report.
The Safety First grant, I wanna make a recommendation that for next year, does anybody know when that grant thing came out?
I believe it was in April, I could be mistaken, but I was on March or April.
And when did we get it for you to complete?
It was like 30 days before, it was the last month, it was like September
All right, I'm
first.
gonna make a recommendation that for 2025, for April timeframe, that we find out where it's at,
Absolutely, absolutely, and
instead of waiting until the last minute.
well, and the reason we waited till the last minute is because that's when we were notified of the grant. We can only act on grants when we find out about them.
Well, now we know around April
Yes.
timeframe, we're gonna start asking questions, okay?
Okay,
Okay, zoning.
did you do that grant or did we do the grant? You just did it, but we did.
I asked, Ashley and Chase for information, 'cause I didn't know what they wanted to use
Right.
their money for.
Right.
But that
So it
was,
was a joint effort, it wasn't all you.
no, it was a good effort because Ashley and Chase gave me their input in regards to like what they wanted to use, the money for.
Okay.
Under zoning, there was one purchase certificate issued to Guardian Transfer for the property at 2417 Mifflin Street. That was sold by Joseph Rivera Nunez and Jalissa Carrero, and that was purchased by Joseph, and Rachel Kennedy. And then also, I had a question more so for Paul in regards to like zoning applications. So for certain stuff, like if somebody applies for like a fence or something, can the township on the zoning application have like a section where they are required to like get the property surveyed, so that we don't have like issues necessarily?
You can.
Is that something that we can legally do?
You can legally do it. I would recommend that you look at your ordinance and see exactly what your ordinance for fence issues or whatever says is required in order to apply for that fence permit, and add in there if there's some reason why you need a survey, or if you need some kind of information regarding boundary lines, that you put specifically in the ordinance that is required with the application. And, if that's required with the application and that you don't get that, then you don't receive that application and it's not considered filed until you get what you're required to have.
Okay.
But weren't you questioning whether you can make it for everybody that comes in for a
Well,
fence permit?
it was like everybody.
Yeah,
But
it's
like,
not
the
if
fence-
there's a
the fence-
question.
The fence one was just like the most common one that we would
Right.
probably need, like the survey. The fence one is probably gonna be the most common one where we're gonna question like the property line, but like just like, in general, can we do it for like, for zoning applications?
For every
Well,
zoning
I don't know, for everybody, for every zoning application, that might be a little onerous. You know, to require everybody to get a survey, because a survey can be,
It can be
it
costly.
can be expensive. So I don't think you wanna require it in every circumstance.
Because you're gonna have more
But
people putting up stuff without a permit.
you need to,
governmental overreach.
limit it to where you absolutely need that information in order to grant the appropriate relief that the person's looking for.
Okay,
So that would have to be worked out.
okay.
It's a little governmental overreach if you make somebody, every time you have to do a permit to get a survey.
Not that, well, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it every time, I'm
But
saying,
that's what, like, if you have multiple projects and you do them at different times and you have it worded like that, you're gonna need a survey.
We would, but I guess
Yeah.
it would also
See?
depend on like the word, it would depend on the wording.
it would depend on the
So, like,
wording. What I would recommend, I don't think we can make a decision tonight as to exactly how the ordinance would be amended and all the circumstances that it would be applied to. If you would like, we could explore it a little bit more closely, have some discussion, with you and also with Josh as the engineer and myself and whoever else we need to pull in order to discuss exactly what it is you want to accomplish, and then see how we can tailor that in the ordinance to accomplish what you need to accomplish, whatever those legitimate ends might be, without putting a burden on the whole township population.
I mean, for reference, a small lot in town here, you're not gonna get a survey for probably less than $1,200. And that's gonna be the cheapest we're gonna be able to do. I know about that.
Right.
So it would really be if there were boundary questions.
That it would probably be like the reason that we asked is because we had an issue with a fence earlier and we just got a complaint from the neighbor, so that's why it was just a question of like whether or not we could. I think that was taken care of, but it was just more of just I think that if we could, it might solve some of those complaints. But that's why I was just curious if we could add that in legally.
Well, boundary questions are really between the property owners.
Okay.
So, you know, the fence, you know, where do you place the fence? You grant the permit for the fence. Your zoning ordinance says what's required for the fence. You know, it could be a maximum of 6 foot high, it could be maximum 4 foot high. You grant a permit for that, and you grant that permit stating that it has to be 1 foot off their boundary line or whatever your ordinance requires. And then they gotta go ahead and they've gotta install that fence in accordance with what you permitted them to do. And if they install it 1 foot over on the neighbor's line, that's really not your issue. That's between the property owners to get that sorted out.
And that's what we found, when we've done surveys for boundary disputes, it's the, really it comes down to the installation of the fence. You can give a permit for a fence that's 2 feet off the property line, but when the fence guys go out to actually install that fence, where's the property line? It's the practical application of that requirement that you have to figure out. So
That's up to
the time
them.
that you really need to survey, and that's.
Right.
Yeah.
That's on the property owner, that's not on the township.
Okay,
Is the door locked?
No, they're coming.
okay, old business. Oh, I'm sorry.
Pay the bills.
Yeah, motion to pay all the bills as submitted.
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Old business. Need a motion authorizing the advertisement of ordinance 541, electing to establish a non-uniform pension plan to be administered by the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System for full-time employees for the January 6, 2025 meeting.
I have a question. My question is for Antoinette. I read over what you sent us and some other information as well, and I don't see that the township, a first-class township, is required to have a pension plan for anything other than police officers. I don't
Firemen.
see
I
that.
think firemen do too.
Yeah, fireman.
Well,
I know, but we don't have either, right? You're correct.
You're not required, but nevertheless, if you want to attract good employees, you know, it's expected that, and if they're gonna work here full-time for a major part of their life, they wanna be accumulating some kind of pension that they can look forward to, you know, when they come of retirement age. Everybody expects that, so you need to address it.
I think that, addressing the retirement, because we already do stipend for retirement, so we are addressing the retirement. The pension is something completely different. So
It's
like-
another way of addressing the
Yeah.
issue, yeah.
So,
I still don't think that the stipend is necessarily the same as the pension.
No,
right,
it's not.
it's
but-
not the same.
And I would say this should be tabled until we do our budget next year, because we just don't, we can't do it now.
Right,
We just.
We already did our budget for this year, so.
Correct.
are you saying table it because we don't know what it would cost?
Oh, I have a good idea what it would cost,
Oh,
and that's why I say table it until budget time next year. Instead of keep bringing it up every month, you know.
We can continue to table it I mean, that's fine. I don't think this particular pension plan is the way to go. I think it's going to, in the long run.
Michelle, my thing
Can I
is like
finish?
other,
Can I
yes.
finish? I think in the long run, the township is going to end up paying, once we're in this, everybody needs to understand, once we're in this, we're locked in. Like, we can't get out. They
Right.
can raise the amount astronomically,
Well,
and
I
there's
think-
nothing we can do.
I think you can get out, but you have to, I think you have to be there for 5 years, and then, let's just say you have an employee that retired, you have to pay that amount of their pension forever.
Right.
So you're locked into a lot of money.
Right.
You're correct on that, but you can get out. I did
Okay,
read
so
that
we can
state
get out.
law, and in there it says, first of all, you gotta be there for 5 years, I think that's what it said. And then you have to apply to get out. That doesn't mean you're gonna get out.
Right, they can turn down.
Yeah,
So you're, could be,
and there's admin costs also, besides the fee you're gonna have to, besides what the township is gonna have to, with their 5%, that's what the contract was that was made up, that we pay 5% of their salary. If you look at the total salaries for the year, 5% is a lot of money.
it's a lot of money for this little township.
Yeah.
I just don't think this is the route to go, whether we continue to table it or not.
Michelle, I just want to add on to what you're saying. Other pension plans or other places that I've reached out to, won't administer the plan for us because we're a first class township. The only one that's willing, unless you guys know somebody else who will, that I can reach out to.
So why do we have to go through pension? Why can't we go through retirement? Like, we need a retirement. We don't necessarily need a pension, am I correct?
I haven't had much luck with finding anybody who's gonna administer it, unless you guys as a board or somebody else has any other recommendations of people who I can reach out to.
I got one. I'm sorry, I missed recorded that conversation. Edward Jones is a simple IRA.
Let me reach out to them and see if they'll, administer something for us.
What they do is they, whatever percentage you put, 100% if you want, but they take like, I think 3% of whatever you're putting in that check. So if you're putting in $100, they're taking $3 out of that to pay them.
Fidelity and MetLife also do a 401k. Just for retirement.
Alright, so what are we gonna do here? We're gonna table this for now?
We can't afford it right now. Our budget's, like, we've already done our budget.
Okay, is there a motion to table?
I'll make the motion to table it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll beat this horse to death. Need a motion to pass the second reading of the proposed ordinance number 540, the 2024 balanced budget of $1,423,466 with no increase in taxes.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a good thing, no increase. Okay. Question for the attorney
For me.
from Michelle.
Oh, we had a hearing for Boscov's, the appeals hearing,
Yes,
and I understand that you did not show.
I did not.
Okay. Can I ask, because I thought we had agreed that you were, because we had lost the first time, that is why we appealed it.
Well, as Commissioner Litz can say, without any backup, my appearance there is, it all comes down to appraisal testimony. And they're gonna appeal it up to the next level. Most likely it's gonna go up to court. And that's where it's gonna be fought out. And you have to be willing to pay the money, and it's gonna be a lot of money, to get an appraisal, that you can present to the court in order to justify your position and your objection to the reduction of the assessment of the property. If you don't do that, then we're just hot air.
Okay, so then I guess my question would be, when we had brought it up to you about it, pending that session, at that point, instead of agreeing to go, why didn't you say that at that point? Because we were all under the assumption you were going, including Antoinette and John, who went and were waiting for you.
I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, and also, if you had no intentions of going, and Antoinette can correct me if I'm wrong, and so is John and Phyllis who signed vouchers, you had billed us for some time looking over things leading up to that hearing.
I did review, the application, yes, I did. I did review the
Okay.
application, yes.
Okay.
But, you know, once it goes up to the county court of common pleas, that's where the real fight happens.
Well, unless we appeal it again because they won. We're the ones that appealed it because we lost twice now. Am I correct?
You're correct.
We lost twice now. So we're the ones that have to appeal it. They're not gonna appeal it because they won. That was the reason that we wanted to do there, is because we were, as the township, were the ones that were appealing it. That is why we asked you to go represent us. So I'm just a little confused about that, I guess, so.
Okay. New business. Need a motion authorizing Paul, and I'm sorry I can't pronounce your last name.
That's all right.
To prepare and advertise the ordinance to add no parking at any time on Skull Street between Webster Street and Washington Street for the January 6, 2025 meeting.
Also, I'm not on, the reason that we wanted to add the no parking is because with the new development going in back there, that's why our concern is going to be that people are going to park along Skull Street, and it's gonna become an issue for the residents who are moving in over there.
Okay, but hold on. Are we talking about where all of Skull Street parks? Because there literally is no other, like, are you talking about the houses are here and then across from all the houses, that land there?
It's where the new development is going in, Magnolia Place, primarily between like the two alleys, that are.
Their driveways in the front of their houses
Because their
there.
driveways are on the front of their houses.
And that goes right up to Skull Street, so if somebody's parking on Skull Street, they could have an issue getting in and out of their driveway.
It's between
21st Street, okay, so between.
Okay,
Not
so
down
now
where
I'm
you're
thinking down
going.
further, okay.
Yeah, that's,
Okay, I was thinking down further, because,
There's-
yeah, okay. But like right up here.
Right up here where
Okay.
the development
Yeah.
is
Between
going in.
21st and
Yeah,
Okay,
23rd maybe, is that where you're talking about, is that where it is?
it's like where the development is going, so 21st, I think it's 21st all the way down this way.
Is it gonna go, it's not gonna go all the
No,
way to
it's just
25th?
between, no, not all the way to
No.
25th, it's between the two, there's two alleys over there and along Skull Street, Webster, I can check you on a map, but there's like two alleys, like Webster, and then Washington Street. But where Michelle was referring to is the opposite side
yeah,
of
I'm
Skull Street.
talking all the way down there, Foxes.
No, not that
Okay,
part.
okay,
you're just 21st and 22nd.
Yeah,
okay,
down that way.
okay. Then I'll make the motion for that.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, need a motion?
I'm sorry, I just got a quick question. Did you guys get my report?
Yes, I already read it, you're good,
Awesome.
thanks.
Need a motion to adopt resolution 2024-018 for the municipal solid waste processing, disposal, and tipping fee rebate agreed with the Greater Lebanon Refuge Authority.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Need a motion to adopt resolution 2024-19 to reappoint Paul Matters to the zoning hearing board. His term will expire December 31st, 2029.
2027
Your motion? No.
Correction.
is mine.
Actually, a correction, and it should be what the ordinance says, resolution.
which is 2027.
Yeah, that was a typo, it should be 2027.
December 31st, 2027.
Yes.
Okay,
I make the motion with the correction.
I'll second that with the correction.
all right,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
And I thank you for the reappointment. Questionable.
thank you for thanking me.
Okay.
So you're agreeing to it?
Need a motion to adopt resolution 2024-20 to reappoint John Gerganis to the Board of Public Safety and Health Appeals. His term will expire December 31st, 2029.
Wait, you have the correct year?
Yeah, that one's the correct year.
Okay.
Your motion? So moved. Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, need a motion to adopt resolution 2024-021 to appoint Ms. Melissa Queenes, I might have this up,
Alright.
and Miss Melissa Wirebach as the alternate for a one-year term in the position of tax collector effective January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025.
Hold on.
That's actually tax collector committee.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, hold on, because according to my thing too, we're at resolution 2024-20-021. If we do that one on my desk says that we're appointing Antoinette as zoning officer.
What did he do?
2024-23 says we are appointing Melissa Quinones to tax collector.
And you're saying, Julie, that a tax collector
Committee with the Keystone doing their own
Okay,
income.
so
It's nothing to do with our real estate tax.
The one that appointed Melissa as the tax collection committee, that is resolution number 2024-23.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have one question, would we still be paying our bills in the courthouse?
Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
changes.
This is something, this is for earned income.
Okay.
It's not for real estate.
So John, do you wanna read the 2021, the 21, or the 23?
All right, need a motion to adopt resolution 2024-023 appointing Antoinette Isis.
No, that one is 24-21.
Oh, my. No, zero in it. 24, 23.
It's 2024-21. Which is appointing Antoinette as zoning officer. And
So
John Brenner
moved.
as alternative zoning officer.
Is there a second?
What do you got?
Phyllis said moved. For 21, zoning
For
officer.
21, for the zoning officers. For Antoinette, John, and Jessica. I'll do a second of 24-21.
I made the motion, need a second.
I
Yeah,
second
Michelle
it.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Need a motion to adopt resolution 2024-022, adopting the 2025 fee schedule for township
I'll make the
related
motion.
items.
Is there, Michelle made the motion, is there a second?
Second?
If we don't have a second adopting
Is
the
there a
fee
second?
schedule.
Justin did second.
Did he? Thank you.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, need a motion to appoint all the township employees for the year 2024 at salaries allocated in the 2025 budget.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, is there a second?
You just make a decision right now.
Okay. Okay, it's not, no, but it's incorrect.
That should be
It's
2025.
2025.
And not 2024.
2024 is last year.
This year.
Yeah, but it's,
Yeah, I
yeah,
got it.
so it's the employees for the year 2025, and salaries allocated in the 2025 budget.
Okay.
Justin made the motion.
I'll second the motion with that
All in
correction.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With that correction.
Yes.
Yes.
Alright, now you need to go back and do number 23.
And then, yeah, I need a motion for resolution 2024-23.
2024-23. This is the West Lebanon Township is appointing Ms. Melissa
Kionis.
Wireback to the Lebanon County Tax Collection Committee and alternate member to represent the city of Lebanon and West Lebanon, effective 1 January 2025.
It's two different people, it's for
Right.
different positions. Because Joellen's face is like, it's Melissa Quinones, and then as the alternate is Melissa
Right,
Wireback.
there's two listed here, those
Yes.
two people, I just didn't read the other tab.
Yeah, she's just.
All right, is
I just need a
there a
motion.
motion?
Yeah, I need a motion for that.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll make the motion for the second for the both ladies,
Right,
for the 1-year term of position of tax collector.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Oops, sorry. Hot potato, hot potato. Okay. Need a motion to reappoint, excuse me, Chrisland Engineering, Josh Weber as Township Engineer for the year 2025.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion to reappoint Barley Snyder Paul as Township Solicitor for the year 2025.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Need a motion to set the meeting dates for the West Lebanon Township Board of Commissioners for the year 2025 and to publish one time in the Lebanon Daily News. All meeting dates will be held on the first Monday of each month, with the exception of September, which will be held on Tuesday. All meetings will be held at 7 p.m. at the West Lebanon Township Building, 322 North 22nd Street. Meeting dates are as follows: January 6th, February 3rd, March 3rd, April 7th, May 5th, June 2nd, July 7th, August 4th, September 2nd, October 6th, and November 3rd, finishing up with December 1st. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any other discussion, Maria?
I don't have anything else, unless somebody on board has something else.
Not at this time.
Somebody,
I just wanna say that the township employees are doing an awesome job with the leaf collections and everything else around the township. Good job.
Okay, before I adjourn the meeting,
Oh, wait a second. Skylar.
Since I missed the portion of the meeting here under public safety, I've inquired before as far as an EMA coordinator for the township. John Brenner, the way I understand he's retiring at the end of the year. Are you gonna turn that over to county, or are you going to appoint someone?
I don't think that's been decided yet.
Well, is John definitely retiring at the end of the year?
He has not put in an official resignation, so as long as he is staying, if he is staying, then he is gonna stay as our EMA coordinator. My opinion is, whenever he fully retires, I would like it to go to the county, and my reasoning is because Gary Berna, who is the EMA coordinator for a majority of the other counties in Lebanon County, he does notify us whenever he does stuff for other neighboring municipalities. So, and instead of having like another person appointed, I don't know why we would, when he's gonna have to get notified for stuff anyways. At least that's my reasoning.
So then why didn't we do this long ago and let why do we continue to pay Mr. Brenner to do it?
Michelle, I cannot answer that question for you, as why that was like that in the past.
And then, I think that there's some questions before we would actually commit one way or the other for that one, Mr. Ford. We would have to question, because I can't imagine that Mr. Berna is gonna do it for free, or at what?
I have to get.
There's definitely questions that we would have to have answered before we can make that decision. But I would assume that you're interested in that position if it becomes available?
I did submit paperwork at one time. I don't know if you guys have it yet, lost it, or whatever you did with it. But there is a long list of requirements you need to do the job. Going with county is obviously pretty beneficial. That's what the guys are paid to do. They're paid to do it, but you just have to make that decision as far as what you want to do.
We're not gonna make no decision until we know what Mr. Brenner's gonna do.
Well, while I agree, but I think that we also need to consider if it's.
Right, we can't wait till January 1st and he hands his paperwork in and then go, oh
Right.
my God.
I don't understand. He's been telling us that he's done at the end of this year. I don't understand why we are at our first monthly meeting in December and no one can answer. Has no one spoken to him whether
Yes.
he's gonna stay or
I
not?
have spoken to him many
And he
times.
hasn't said whether he's gonna stay or not?
He says he's retired,
Okay.
but,
But there's nothing in writing.
Right.
Until, if it's not in writing, it never happened.
Then, right, and while I
as a matter of fact,
understand
I
that,
talk to him probably every month for the last 6 months, trying to convince him to stay on.
okay, well,
Because when he goes, we're losing a lot of institutional knowledge,
okay, so
and the workers we have are not gonna be able to pick that up.
unfortunately, we have to start somewhere,
Well, I agree.
and it cannot all rest on one person's shoulders indefinitely. So, I think we need to find out what he plans on doing. Like, we're kind of in limbo until we find out what he's doing. So if he is planning on retiring at the end of the year, we need it in writing. And if he's not planning on retiring, that's fine, but we need to know, because we have an awful lot of maintenance staff for a very small township. And
We
paying
have
all,
to hire more employees.
why would we hire more? We have 388 people. Isn't it like 388 people in our township? So, okay, that's a whole nother subject. That was my point. That was my point. We just need to find out what he's gonna do. So that we know coming into January's meeting whether we have Mr. Brenner or we don't. Because I think our budget kinda went off of that also. So, part-time, not full-time.
As soon as we find out, you'll find out, because I'll probably call you.
Okay, well, because once again, because we budgeted not to have him full-time, that's gonna throw our budget off. So, we need to be sure that we do that.
Well, what would he be hired as a contractor?
Well,
We had asked him to stay on to do certain duties
yeah,
when this originally had
like a
talked.
part-time, like, certain hours,
That's what a contractor is.
Like
Right.
public safety,
yeah.
like code enforcement. We had asked him to stay for some of those things, whether he will or not, because he's going to contract through Northern Lebanon.
Or to be contracted as needed.
Yes.
Yes. Or if Antoinette has a question, she can call him, because he is a wealth of knowledge. He's still gonna reside in the township. So, he's still going to be available, we'd like him to still be available if she needs to, like Rose was. Like Rose was, and is, it just means something.
Anything else?
Nope.
I just wanna let you know, North Lebanon Township, we switched over to DES a couple years ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Role for us.
For the EMA.
Coordinator, yeah.
Yeah.
So they assigned the person there, they keep up with all the certifications and mandatory training you need for that position.
I do believe when John was still on the board, he said, we are the only township
Yeah.
that has our own EMA coordinator.
Yeah.
We are.
We're the only one.
We are.
But Mr. Brenner did say that. So, because like I said, we have to find out the cost too. We'll have to find out the cost. There's definitely some things
I'll
to do.
let you know about the cost, because I don't know what that cost is.
Because we'll see whether it's gonna be beneficial to pay someone like we do Mr. Brenner, or to pay county to take it over. We'll see how cost
Do
effective
you
that is.
know what North Lebanon pays Chief Knight, or?
I don't believe they're paying a fee.
Okay, well, and that might be county funded, so that's fine. Yeah, it might be county. Joellen, do you know?
DES provides a service. We do not bill municipalities for that service.
Okay, so that would be free then.
Okay.
That would actually save the township money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, without further ado, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and a happy and prosperous New Year. And need a motion to adjourn the
Motion.
meeting. Second.
Thank you,
All in
Phyllis.
favor?
Aye.